walking down there next to this one guy in a Steelers jersey, and I walked up, and I'm walking next to him for a while, and people are going the other way, or just pointing at him and yelling and cursing him, and and I said to him, "Hey man, we're not all like that. Okay, glad you're coming to the game. Welcome to our town. Enjoy yourself." And he was very good natured about it. He was very, easygoing about it, and he wasn't ever returning anything in kind to what he was getting. But I thought, man, I'm not real happy about my fellow Clevelanders right now, because they were really being jerked about it. And most of them at 12 o'clock noon were hammered. And, that obviously removed some inhibitions. But, it was just a thing that I noticed. And I also had two Steelers guys sitting right behind me all during the game. And, of course, by the halftime, they were slouched down in their seats. They were having a miserable afternoon, and they were very, very quiet for the whole second half. And, I turned around to them in the fourth quarter at 31-3 with about 4 minutes to go in the game. And I said, besides this, did you enjoy your time in Cleveland, while you're here? Sort of like the old line about, besides the play, how was your evening, Mrs. Lincoln? Did you enjoy the play? But, and they were, again, good-natured about it and saying, hey, it's fine. We're okay. We're good. And I wished them well and said, enjoy your time in town. And, you try to be a little bit of a good ambassador, because there's so many other idiots around you that are being the opposite. But anyway, just kind of wanted to get that off my chest.
Well, no, that's very much true. I don't get into that aspect of it per se. I've wrestled off and on. It's actually really funny coincidence, because I used to always, it just never seemed to matter what the schedule was. I'd always wrestle in Pittsburgh the weeks after or right before Browns and Steelers games. And I'd had some fun with some fans back and forth, and I'm the Cleveland guy, and, I wrestle in brown and orange up there and all that stuff. But, and it's so funny, I have not been to Pittsburgh to wrestle in 3.5 years, and I'm just now kind of getting back into doing a little bit of wrestling. My first match back in Pittsburgh, and the first time in almost 4 years, is this weekend coming up. I get to return to the scene of the crime right after the Browns steamroll the Steelers, so I'm going to have some fun with that. But you're right. The people up there, there's a lot of good people, and I've met some great people and some friends over the years from Pittsburgh, but I won't go so far as to say it's a beautiful town, because, and no offense to my friends that live in Pittsburgh, but my problem with your town is simple. Some genius took a mountain and a bulldozer and decided that we're just going to carve a town out of parts of this mountain here. So it's the most the landscape of Pittsburgh drives me crazy, because you'll blow a transmission out traveling back and forth to Pittsburgh, because it's nothing but, I'm telling you, they just carved through the mountains and just said, let's go up this way and down that way, and we'll put a few houses here.
Double-decker bridges with one direction going one way and the next going down.
But they put houses.
One thing I found about Pittsburgh, it's easy to get into town. It's harder than hell to leave.
And
I've had a hard time getting out of Pittsburgh.
Traveling around Pittsburgh is tough. Yes, traveling around Pittsburgh is rough.
A lot of times you can see where you want to go, but you have no idea how to get there.
You can't get there. But anyway, you can see it because you're on a hill, and you look and go, no, that's where I'm trying to get to, but no road leads me there. This is ridiculous, man. And then they are the kings of literally building sideways houses. They will put a house on the side of a hill, 3 of them in a group there, and you're like, I got to turn my head sideways to read the address. How do those people live? It's amazing the way I joke and I say somebody came up with the bright idea. Hey, look, there's a set of mountains. Just carve a city out of that. Just chop it up and just kind of put stuff there and build a city in the mountain there. And they came up with Pennsylvania, especially the city of Pittsburgh. And I got to tell you, it's a little bit of but it's a steel city, and they've got more of that going on than we do anymore. So yeah, a little bit of they remind Pittsburgh to me is Cleveland. I don't know, 20 years ago, still a little more industrial. That Cleveland's not as industrial as it used to be and stuff like that. But the people are some good people. And I love messing with them Yinzers up there, man, and their special dialect of the English language. But other than that, they are some nice people for the most part.
You're right. They are great people, but they do talk funny.
They talk very funny. Them Yinzers have that dialect. You can tell when somebody came from that Pittsburgh Allegheny Mountain region. It's a special, and this isn't an insult. There's a dialect that comes directly from that region.
There absolutely is. There's
We're not making that up.
A different way of talking.
See, Dan knows. We're not making a shot. There's actually a different tone in the voice. I can tell. As soon as I hear somebody, I go, hey, are you from Pittsburgh? And they'll be like, well, I grew up there. And I'm like, I can hear the little bit of that twinge in your voice, man. It's true. So, and I'm sure they think we have a Cleveland accent too. So whatever. But anyways, hey, let's switch off some football for a minute here. Oh, and by the way, when I said dog pound, listen. You say I'm not in the dog pound. Yes, you are. You're in the stadium. You're in the stadium, baby. Now, I'm not talking about that sanitized, NFL-sponsored, trademarked little dog pound area. This is the dog pound, my friend, and you
That's one of their new slogans this year. I don't know if you've noticed that, where they they sell the T-shirt. We're all dog pound now, or we're
I never saw that shirt yet. There we go.
Yeah, they're doing that now to sort of just give everybody the feel of we're all dog pound. It's not just those guys down there on the East End. It's all of us here. So they are trying to push that way of thinking. That 100% dog pound, I think, is one of the things that I've seen on the T-shirt. Or we're all dog pounding here, or that kind of stuff. So that's definitely a thing they're consciously pushing.
All right, man. Hey, let's switch off to something else that I know is near and dear to you right now, and that is those Kansas City Royals and these baseball playoffs. I was running all weekend. I wrestled Friday night, Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, and I drove a couple of hours to each place. So I couldn't text. I was on the road. I was all over all weekend. I wanted to text you on Friday night and just use some inappropriate language and go, those XYZ sons of guns did it again. Can you believe what we're seeing here? Because Kansas City did it again in the first game of that series there. Extra innings again. I mean, these guys aren't losing. I don't think they're going to lose a game until they're putting a ring on their finger at this point.
Boy, it sure does seem that way, and it's just, I don't know. And I said the other night on Twitter, I said I don't know. I haven't made up my mind yet if I'm with you or if I'm against you. I'm very conflicted about my feelings on the Kansas City Royals. You've got to just shake your head in amazement and wonderment at these guys. The other day when it's 4-4 and it's the 8th inning, and I'm thinking to myself, hey, you think the Royals want extra innings? Well, of course they do. They're magic in extra innings. It's just really has been something. 6 straight from the time they were down 7-3 in the wild card game.
Yes.
They've just had
their season was
on
over.
The side, man, and it's just hard to believe.
Their season was over,
and
Dan.
both series, all the series have been crazy, interesting, compelling, wonderful October baseball. But the Royals have that extra little added thing and it doesn't look like they're going to anytime soon. They're coming home halfway to the World Series. They don't have to go back to Baltimore. They just, it really is quite remarkable, and they're growing on me, I got to say. Even though it kills me that the Indians beat these. We got every bit the team that they've got, and here they are on the national stage doing it up.
Yeah, I mean, these guys were down 7-3, like you said. You had John Lester on the mound, who Oakland traded the middle of their lineup for, and this is it. I mean, they were that close to being done and toast, and here they go again. And you know what? Like you said, speaking of compelling, you look on the other side. I don't know if you heard me, or maybe you've heard other people mention it, and now they've been struck by the other side of maybe destiny being fickle when they may have lost Molina here for who knows how long. But when you talk about St. Louis and the way they came back with the home runs, no team has ever hit home runs in the postseason in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings back-to-back like that, let alone the way St. Louis did it. They tied the game on a home run in the 7th, went ahead in the 8th, and then went ahead again because they had to in the 9th. I mean, that's something there. That's one of those, talk about the Browns turning a corner and getting momentum. That's one of those where that momentum may just carry St. Louis through the rest of this series. That's a crazy way to finish a game there.
Yeah, that was great. In fact, the NFL game last night was so bad that I ended up watching the better part of the baseball. And I just found out who Kelton Wong was last week. I think I didn't, I didn't know. But I'm watching that game, and yeah, Homer's leaving the yard. every other inning and back and forth. I could not believe it. I said it. The Cardinals, after they allow a run to score from second on a wild pitch with 2 outs in the ninth inning, they're a strike away from winning the game. And reminiscent of Lofton against Randy Johnson
yes.
back in 1995. But
Lofton, yep.
It was the way they threw that away, and the way Trevor Rosenthal all of a sudden just lost the ability to throw a strike in the ninth inning with a man or two out. I just said Cardinals don't deserve to win this game. Whatever happens from here, they really don't deserve to win. You get a lead and you give it back, and then you take another lead and give it away, and in the worst possible way. In other words, a guy able to score from second on a wild pitch with 3-2 count, 2 outs in the ninth inning.
Yep.
Just brutal. And but then Hilton Wong made everybody forget about that. First or second pitch, I think, of the bottom of the ninth, wasn't it? It might have been the second pitch that he hit out. First pitch was I think a low strike fastball, and then he got the same pitch the next thing and turned on it. But looks like a nice young player, and yeah, you're right. That could be a momentum changer for them. They sure needed it.
Yeah, but then again, the flip side of that with Molina here, and you don't know how that's going to affect him. You hear the word oblique. We know. We hear that enough. We hear it with Jason Kipnis here this year. So we happen to know in Cleveland the side effects of that. It kills that bat, man. It hurts every time. I mean, I don't know what they can expect, if anything, to get out of him going forward. How much do you think that changes the course of this series?
Oh, I think it changes a lot. He's the best there is at his position, and a leader and a captain or whatever. And like you say, we know from the obliques, it's not like I twisted my ankle or I sprained my wrist. It's not something you can bounce back from in 2 days or 2 weeks or sometimes 2 months. So it's something that really probably puts him out of commission for the series. And if they get to the World Series, probably through that. It's hard to believe after watching the pain he was in, where it doesn't even run out a ball, to see him coming back anytime soon. It's a real kick in the teeth. It's the equivalent of Alex Mack breaking his leg in terms of the effect on a team of a stalwart player, one of your best players in the heart of your lineup at an important position in the middle of the field. I mean, all the parallels are there to the Alex Mack injury. But a tough break for him.
So still a lot to be played. We'll see how that works. I'm with you there, though, man. I'm curious to see it. They got some momentum. It maybe nullifies a bit of that, but, man, you take the heart out of anybody's team like that, man. It's going to be that's a tough one to overcome here. Now, 1-1, still a lot of series. There's a lot of series in both of them, by the way. It's not a guarantee Kansas City's going to keep running, but I don't see how. I don't care, Baltimore or anybody. I don't see how you're going to stem the momentum that these Royals are charging hard, man. They just don't believe they can be beat, and we've seen it enough. Whether you're talking the 90s, whether you're talking about now, these last 2 years, Indians teams, they're spunky enough that they just don't believe they're beat in any game, and we've seen them have that. Some teams just get it, and it's infectious. And man, Kansas City's got it all right, and I don't know that can be slowed down at this point. They may just steamroll the Orioles. I mean, it's hard to sweep anybody, but I think they're going to do it just because, I mean, they're going home now. They did this on the road. Now they're going home. And who was it? I just saw somebody, and then maybe this will be bulletin board material that'll get you, but didn't one of the Royals outfielders just say this thing's not going back? Jared Dyson. I got it right here. I had to go find it. Kansas City outfielder. He said this series is not going back to Baltimore, man. He said we're taking care of this thing, and they're not getting this series back. So we'll have to see if he can live up to that or not.
Well, it's happened 3 times now in this postseason where the underdog, the lower seeded team, has won the first 2 games in the other guy's park, and Kansas City did it, and didn't the Giants pull it off, or I can't remember off the top of my head in the National League Series. So the Dodgers, did they lose 2 straight at home? I believe they won the second game.
I believe, yeah. I don't think they did 2
I know
at home.
It's the third series that has out of 5.
2, 4, 5.
That has gone 0-2 at home for the favorite. But anyway, it's been brutal for the top seeds, in this postseason. But it's
here's a simple,
makes for compelling
stat.
baseball.
Yeah, here's a simple stat for that. Since the league championship series in both sides went to a 7-game format, 11 teams have lost the first 2 games at home. None came back to win the